In the grand tapestry of the Ottoman Empire, few threads are as vibrant and tragically frayed as that of Sultan Bayezid I, nicknamed Yıldırım, the Thunderbolt. His reign was a whirlwind of lightning-fast conquests, audacious ambition, and a catastrophic fall that nearly shattered his empire. This is his story, born in 1360. Bayezid was the son of Sultan Murad I from a young age. He was a firebrand, known for his fierce temper and military prowess. He earned his moniker, the Thunderbolt, on the battlefields of his father's campaigns, where his speed and decisiveness in commanding his wing of the army were legendary. When his father fell at the Battle of Kosovo in 1389, Bayezid ascended to the throne in the midst of the conflict. His first act as sultan was ruthless, but pragmatic in the brutal politics of the time. He had his younger brother Jakob, a popular and capable commander, executed to prevent any succession crisis or civil war. With the throne secured, Bayezid finished the victory at Kosovo, cementing Ottoman control over much of the Balkans. With the Balkans subdued, Bayezid turned his thunderous gaze east, towards Anatolia. For the next 7 years, he waged a relentless series of campaigns against the Turkish principalities, or beyliks, that had re-emerged. After the collapse of the Seljuk Sultanate, in a stunning display of speed, he annexed one after another Aydin, Saruhan, Mentesh, Jermian, and Hamid. By 1390, he was laying siege to the last major holdout, Karaman. His campaigns were so swift that it was said he could march his army from one end of his domain to the other faster than a messenger could carry the news. This rapid expansion unified much of Anatolia under the Ottoman banner for the first time, laying a crucial foundation for the future empire. But as Bayezid's power grew in the east, the Christian kingdoms of Europe watched with increasing alarm. The fall of Bulgaria and the vassalization of Serbia were clear signs that the Ottoman threat was no longer a distant problem. Pope Boniface IX called for a new crusade, and the call was answered. An enormous coalition army, led by King Sigismund of Hungary and joined by thousands of knights from France, Germany, England, and across Europe, marched down the Danube. They believed their superior heavy cavalry and chivalric valor would easily crush the Ottoman forces. In 1396, the two armies met at Nicopolis in modern-day Bulgaria. The Crusaders, overconfident and disdaining any cautious strategy, launched a headlong charge. The French knights, eager for glory, broke ranks and charged uphill, straight into a line of sharpened stakes hidden behind the Ottoman front lines. Their horses were impaled, their charge was broken, and the knights were thrown into disarray. As they struggled on foot, they were engulfed by Ottoman light infantry and archers. Seeing the French falter, Sigismund advanced with the main body of the Crusader army. They fought their way through the Ottoman lines, even pushing back. Bayezid's elite janissaries, for a moment it seemed victory might be within their grasp. But Bayezid had held his finest troops, the Serbian knights under his vassal Stefan Lazarevi and his Sipahi heavy cavalry, in reserve. At the critical moment, he unleashed his final, devastating charge. The thunderbolt struck. The Crusader army, already exhausted and disorganized, completely collapsed. The slaughter was immense. The Battle of Nicopolis was one of the last great crusades of the Middle Ages, and its catastrophic failure sent shockwaves through Europe. Bayezid's victory was absolute, his prestige soared, and he was hailed as a champion of Islam. The Caliph in Cairo even granted him the title Sultan of Arm, recognizing him as the heir to the Roman lands of Anatolia. Flush with victory, Bayezid's ambition knew no bounds. He consolidated his control over the Balkans, launched raids into Hungary and Styria, and even blockaded the great city of Constantinople, hoping to finally conquer the ancient capital of the Byzantine Empire. He built the magnificent fortress of Anadolusair on the Asian shore of the Bosphorus to control the strait. To his contemporaries, he seemed unstoppable, a force of nature destined to forge an empire rivaling that of Alexander or Caesar. But in the east, an even greater storm was gathering. A conqueror whose name inspired even more terror was marching west. Timur, also known as Tamerlane. Timur was a Turco-Mongol warlord who had built a vast and brutal empire from the ruins of the Chagatai Khanate. He saw himself as the restorer of the Mongol Empire of Genghis Khan, and he did not suffer rivals gladly. The conflict between Timur and Bayezid was almost inevitable. It was fueled by ego and territory. The Anatolian emirs that Bayezid had deposed fled to Timur's court in Samarkand, pleading with him to restore their lands. Simultaneously, rebels and enemies of Timur found refuge with Bayezid. The two rulers exchanged a series of increasingly insulting letters, each one questioning the other's legitimacy, courage, and lineage. Timur belittled Bayezid as a mere frontier chieftain, while Bayezid mocked Timur's physical disability. Diplomacy failed, war was coming. In 1402, Timur invaded Anatolia with a colossal, battle-hardened army, a diverse force drawn from across Central Asia. Bayezid, forced to lift his siege of Constantinople, gathered his own forces and marched to meet him. Bayezid's strategy was to use his knowledge of the terrain to his advantage and force a confrontation on his own terms. However, Timur was a master of strategy and deception. He feinted towards one city, drawing Bayezid's army away, then force marched his troops through difficult terrain to appear unexpectedly near the city of Ankara. Cutting Bayezid off from his water supplies, on a scorching hot day in July 1402, the two armies finally clashed on the plain of Ubak near Ankara. Bayezid's army was already exhausted and desperately thirsty. The battle was a disaster from the start. The Tatar soldiers in Bayezid's army, who had a shared heritage with Timur's forces, defected mid-battle. The troops from the recently conquered Anatolian beyliks, seeing their former princes fighting alongside Timur, also switched sides, turning on their Ottoman comrades. Bayezid's army disintegrated around him. Only his loyal Balkan troops, the Serbians under Stefan Lazarevi, and his household janissaries and Sipahis remained. They fought with incredible bravery, forming a protective circle around their sultan on a small hill. For hours, they held off wave after wave of Timurid attacks. As night fell, Bayezid attempted to flee under the cover of darkness, but his horse stumbled and fell, and the Sultan, the Thunderbolt, the victor of Nicopolis, was captured. The capture of a sultan was an unprecedented humiliation for the Ottomans. The stories of his captivity are debated by historians. Some accounts, likely embellished by Timur's chroniclers, claim he was kept in an iron cage and used as a footstool. Others suggest he was treated with a degree of respect due to his rank, but was a prisoner nonetheless. Whatever the truth, the psychological blow was devastating. Less than a year later, in 1403, Bayezid died in captivity, officially from illness, though some whisper of suicide. His dream of a unified empire had been shattered in a single day. Timur did not stay to rule Anatolia. After sacking cities and restoring the old beyliks, he marched away to plan an invasion of China. But the damage was done. The Ottoman state, now without a sultan and with its territories fragmented, descended into chaos. Bayezid's sons, Sa, Musa, and Mehmed plunged the empire into a brutal, decade-long civil war known as the Ottoman Interregnum. For 11 years they fought each other for the remnants of their father's legacy, and it seemed the Ottoman enterprise was finished. Yet Bayezid's legacy is complex. His reign represents both the pinnacle of early Ottoman power and its near-total destruction. His rapid conquests in Anatolia and the Balkans created the administrative and military framework that would allow the empire to not only survive the interregnum but to rise again, stronger than ever. It was his son, Mehmed, who would eventually emerge victorious from the civil war, reunify the state, and earn the title of the empire's second founder. The story of Bayezid I is a dramatic reminder of the fickle nature of power. He was the Thunderbolt, a man whose ambition and military genius brought him to the brink of creating a world empire, only to be undone by an even greater conqueror and his own hubris. His life was a flash of brilliance followed by a deafening crash, a storm that reshaped the world and left behind a kingdom in ruins, waiting for a new dawn. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this journey into Ottoman history, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories from the past. See you next time.